going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs, and we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods, Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Listen, we're less than 6 weeks out from the IFBB Texas Pro now, and it looks like things are starting to get awfully spicy down there in Keon Pearson land. Initially, there was a lot of excitement about his decision to compete in the Texas Pro because it's, well, his home state, and it will be his first show since he decided to change divisions again, which made it feel like this could end up being one of these perfect storm scenarios for Keon. But as he's gotten deeper into his prep, and people have gotten the chance to see how much better he's gotten over the last 12 months, it's only magnified the level of anticipation to see what he can do and the impact that his presence could have on the division. And if he goes in there and just completely smashes everyone with a lopsided victory, then it's really going to be something, because at that point, we're probably going to see his name start getting mentioned out there as a potential Mr. Olympia. I know that it's popular to say that bodybuilding is a marathon, not a sprint. But here's the thing. Regardless of whether you're running a marathon or a sprint, the key to remember is that they're both races, which means that your number one objective is to cross that finish line first. So if you're in the business of trying to keep pace with Samson Dauda right now, well, that's a tough place to be in, because you might have a hard time catching up. A few days ago, Samson released this new update from his mini off-season, where we see him tipping the scales at 310 pounds. That's right, 310, which is absolutely nuts when you take into account how lean he is right now. Up to this point, there hasn't been any official word from Samson's team about when he's going to start his Olympia prep, or if he might even be considering a tune-up show between now and the Mr. Olympia contest. But we do know this for sure. This man is going to be dangerous this year, because if he really nails his conditioning, he's good enough to upset the balance of power in the top 10. We're still a few months away from having to get into any major updates about the Arnold UK, but we are just starting to get to the point where we're seeing a few updates trickle in, like this one we got a few days ago from Wesley Vissers. During the offseason, the word coming out of Wesley's camp was that their primary focus was packing on more quality size to give him the added dimensions he needs to help bring the most out of his structure. And based on what we've seen over the last few weeks, it feels like a safe bet to say that he was definitely able to check that box. His overall shape and aesthetics have always been as good as anyone's in the division, which means that if he can strike the right balance between size and conditioning, it has the potential to elevate him into a different stratosphere. So if he can go out there and handle his business at the Arnold, it should serve as a nice test run to see how this year's look is going to play out during Olympia weekend. And before we get out of here today, we have another new update from 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. Recently, there's been a little buzz floating out there from people online commenting about how crazy Phil's been looking in some of the training videos that he's been posting recently, which has led some people to start speculating about the potential of him making one last push to get back on stage again at some point here in the near future, where he could potentially tie Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman as the only male athlete in history who can lay claim to having won 8 Olympia titles. Now, if you're a Phil Heath fan, this one comes pretty easy to talk yourself into when you consider his age and the fact that he's still clearly in good enough shape that making another run at the record is something that he could absolutely do if he chose to. But on the flip side, if you're him, the real question becomes, is the juice really worth the squeeze at this point? So with that being said, we want to hear your thoughts on this matter. Would making another run at the title have a real impact on Phil's legacy as a bodybuilder? Or is it set in stone at this point that it really wouldn't matter or move the needle one way or another? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.